The first thing I noticed when I woke up was the beeping. Steady, mechanical, and somehow both irritating and reassuring at the same time. I couldn't open my eyes, couldn't move my lips to speak, but I could hear everything. And what I heard made me wish I was truly unconscious. "She's not responding to any stimuli below the waist," a clinical voice said somewhere to my left. "The spinal damage is extensive." My name is Caitlin, and 3 days ago, I was driving home from work when my brakes failed. At least, that's what they told me happened. The last thing I remember was the steering wheel jerking violently in my hands as my car careened toward the guardrail. "How long before we can move forward with the power of attorney?" That was Nico's voice, my husband, the man I'd shared a bed with for 6 years. His tone was all wrong, too businesslike, too calm. "Mr. Morrison, your wife is in a medically induced coma. We need to—" "Yes, but there are financial matters that need attention. Time-sensitive matters." I wanted to scream, to reach out and grab him by the throat, but my body remained still, useless, like a puppet with cut strings. "Nico's right." My mother Delaney's voice drifted in. "We need to act quickly. The trust fund deadline is approaching, and she wouldn't want to suffer like this anyway." Trust fund. Of course. Grandmother's inheritance. The one she'd left specifically to me, bypassing my mother entirely. Because Delaney can't be trusted with it, she'd told me before she died. I hadn't understood then. I did now. "Mrs. Summers, please lower your voice," the doctor warned. "Even in a coma, patients can sometimes—" "Oh, please," my mother scoffed. "Look at her. She can't hear anything." Footsteps approached my bed. A hand touched my arm, Nico's. I knew his touch, but now it made my skin crawl. "The lawyers said if we can get power of attorney, we can redirect the trust before it fully vests. We just need to move quickly." "And you're sure about the brake lines?" My father Rodney's voice, usually so passive, held an edge I'd never heard before. "Rod," my mother hissed. "Not here." The brake lines, the crash. It wasn't an accident. The realization hit me like a second impact, stealing what little breath I could draw. My own family, my own husband. "I'll have the papers drawn up," Nico said smoothly. "We can file them tomorrow. The doctors said there's no guarantee she'll wake up anyway, and even if she does, she'll be in no condition to manage her affairs," my mother finished. "It's really for the best." They continued talking, plotting, their voices fading as they moved toward the door. I lay there, trapped in my useless body, rage building like a pressure cooker. Then I felt it, the slight weight of my phone, still in the pocket of my hospital gown. They hadn't thought to remove it. With every ounce of concentration I possessed, I focused on moving my right index finger. Just one finger, just enough. The effort made my head pound, but I felt it twitch, again, until finally, I managed to slide my hand beneath the blanket. One more push, one more impossible movement. My finger found the phone's side button. 3 quick presses, the shortcut I'd set up for voice recording. A faint vibration confirmed it was working. "We should meet with Leon tomorrow," Nico was saying. "Get him to start the transfer process." "What about Pierce?" my mother asked. "Can he be trusted?" "Pierce knows what's at stake. He'll play his part." Their voices grew clearer as they approached my bed again. Perfect for the recording. "I'll come back tonight," Nico said, his footsteps stopping beside me. He leaned down, his lips brushing my forehead in a mockery of affection. "Sleep well, darling." The door clicked shut behind them, leaving me alone with the steady beeping of monitors and the weight of betrayal crushing my chest. But beneath the pain, beneath the fury, a cold clarity emerged. They thought I was helpless. They thought they could steal my inheritance, my autonomy, maybe even my life. But they'd made one crucial mistake. They'd underestimated me. And now I had proof. My finger twitched again, stopping the recording. It wasn't much, but it was a start. They didn't know I could hear them, didn't know I could move at all. And that ignorance would be their downfall. Because while they plotted to take everything from me, they'd given me something powerful in return. A purpose. I would lie here, silent and still, gathering evidence. And when the time was right, I would make them pay for every word, every lie, every betrayal. Let them think I was broken. I would show them exactly how wrong they were. Days blurred together in a haze of beeping monitors and hushed conversations. Every morning, Nico would arrive with fresh flowers and empty words, playing the part of devoted husband perfectly. "The doctors say you're stable now," he'd whisper, holding my limp hand. "We're all praying for you, sweetheart." Then he'd check his phone, thinking I couldn't see the slight smile when certain messages came through. My parents were worse. They didn't even bother with the pretense when they thought they were alone. "The trust manager is being difficult," my mother complained one afternoon. "Leon keeps insisting on waiting." "He's just being cautious," my father replied, "after what happened with grandmother's estate." "Don't start with that again, Rod. She left everything to Caitlin out of spite. Pure spite. As if I hadn't taken care of her for years. I remembered differently. Remembered grandmother's warnings about my mother's spending habits, her manipulation, her endless schemes to access the family money. "Watch her closely," grandmother had told me. "She'll smile while she steals the silver." The door opened, interrupting their conversation. "Mr. and Mrs. Summers?" A nurse's voice. "There's a call for you at the nurse's station. Something about insurance paperwork." After they left, I felt a gentle touch on my arm. "They're gone now," the nurse whispered. "I saw your fingers move yesterday. I know you can hear me. My name is Mia, and I want to help." My heart raced, but I kept still, unsure if this was a trap. "Listen," Mia continued. "I'm going to leave my phone under your pillow. It's an old one, but it works. The voice-to-text is already open. If you can move at all, use it. I'll check it when I change your sheets." She slipped away as footsteps approached. My mother's voice carried down the hall. "Nico says Pierce is getting nervous. We need to move faster." That night, after everyone had gone, I forced my fingers to move. Each tap felt like lifting a mountain, but slowly, painfully, I managed to type. "Need help. Contact Jocelyn McBride, estate lawyer. Tell her Caitlin needs her. Emergency." The next morning, Mia retrieved her phone during rounds. Hours later, she returned. "Jocelyn is coming," she whispered, while checking my IV. "She'll be here tomorrow, disguised as a medical consultant." True to her word, Jocelyn arrived the next day. I heard her heels clicking on the floor, remembered how she used to say you could intimidate anyone with the right pair of shoes. "I need to examine the patient alone," she announced firmly. Standard legal protocol for potential malpractice cases. Once the room was clear, she moved close. "Jesus, Caitlin," she breathed. "What have they done to you?" I twitched my fingers, our old signal from law school when we wanted to talk privately. She caught it immediately. "You're conscious," she said, "and they don't know." "Okay, listen. I've been looking into the trust. Nico's been meeting with Leon secretly for weeks before your accident. And there's more. Large withdrawals from your joint accounts, suspicious transfers. Something big was happening." My fingers twitched again. "Right," she said, pulling out her phone. "I'm recording everything now. Save your strength. Just listen." She detailed what she'd found. Nico's failing business ventures, hidden debt, desperate attempts to access my trust fund, my mother's involvement in changing medical directives, Pierce's suspicious meetings. "But here's what they don't know," Jocelyn said, satisfaction coloring her voice. Your grandmother added a clause. If anyone attempts to seize control of the trust through medical power of attorney, everything goes to charity. They can't touch it unless you're dead. The implication hung heavy in the air. If they couldn't control the trust while I was incapacitated. I've alerted Leon, she continued. He's playing along with them for now, gathering evidence. We'll protect you, Caitlin. Just keep playing dead while we build the case. She squeezed my hand. I have to go. Mia will help us communicate. We'll get these bastards, I promise. After she left, I lay there processing everything. They hadn't just tried to paralyze me. They'd tried to kill me. And they might try again, once they realized their current plan wouldn't work. Mia returned later with fresh sheets. As she leaned close to adjust my pillow, she whispered, Your mother's been asking about medication schedules. I've switched your chart with another patient's. They won't know what you're really receiving. I managed to move my thumb slightly. Thank you. Rest now, she said. Build your strength. You're going to need it. She was right, because now I knew the truth, and I had allies. Let them think they were in control. Let them think I was helpless. Their arrogance would be their undoing. I just had to stay alive long enough to destroy them all. Mia became my lifeline. Every night after her shift started at 11, she'd help me with small exercises. Tiny movements at first, finger flexes, wrist rotations, toe curls. Each motion was agony, but it was progress. My father was like you, she told me one night while massaging my rigid muscles. After his stroke, everyone thought he was gone. His new wife tried to sell his house right out from under him. But he could hear everything, could feel everything. What happened? I managed to whisper, my voice barely audible after weeks of disuse. He waited, gathered evidence, then he got better and took everything back. She smiled grimly. She didn't see it coming. The door creaked, and Mia quickly resumed her professional posture. It was just the night janitor, but we couldn't risk being discovered. During the day, I played my part. Nico would visit, reading emails, or making calls while pretending to keep me company. My parents dropped by less frequently, always with questions for the medical staff about my condition. The physical therapist thinks we should try passive movement exercises, my mother told Nico one afternoon, to prevent muscle atrophy. Is that necessary? Nico asked sharply. The doctors said recovery was unlikely. It's standard procedure, the therapist, David, explained. We'll start tomorrow. That night, Mia helped me prepare. David's one of the good ones, she whispered. I told him you're conscious. He'll help. The next day, David arrived with his equipment. Let's see what we're working with, he said loudly, then lowered his voice once we were alone. Mia told me everything. Follow my lead. He began moving my legs, testing resistance. To anyone watching through the window, it looked like standard therapy, but he was actually assessing my real capabilities. You've been exercising, he murmured approvingly. Good girl. Let's build on that. Over the next few days, David's sessions became my sanctuary. He taught me to control my breathing, to engage muscles systematically, to build strength without showing improvement. Then Jocelyn visited again, this time with news that made my blood run cold. Pierce talked, she said under the guise of checking my charts. He was drunk at a bar last night. Started rambling about Rose, your cousin. Apparently, they've been seeing each other for months. And get this, Rose was with Nico the night before your accident. My fingers clenched involuntarily. There's more, Jocelyn continued. Leon found some interesting transfers, large sums moving between accounts linked to Pierce, Rose, and Nico. All dated just before your crash. A knock at the door made us both freeze. Mia stuck her head in. Sorry to interrupt, but Mrs. Summers is on her way up. Jocelyn gathered her things quickly. "Keep fighting," she whispered. "We're close to something big." That evening, I had my first breakthrough. During therapy, when David was helping me sit up, I managed to hold the position for several seconds on my own. His eyes widened, but he maintained his professional demeanor. "That's enough for today," he said normally, then whispered, "You're recovering faster than expected. We need to be careful." He was right. That night, I overheard Nico on the phone in my room, thinking I was asleep. "The medication should have been enough," he hissed. "No, listen to me, Pierce. We need to move faster. Rose is getting nervous." "No, I don't care about your guilt. We're all in this together." After he left, Mia slipped in with her phone. "Got it all recorded," she said. "Jocelyn's going to love this." But our small victory was short-lived. The next morning, my mother arrived with a new doctor I'd never seen before. "Dr. Roberts specializes in long-term care facilities," she announced brightly. "We think it might be time to discuss moving you somewhere more appropriate." My heart raced. They were trying to isolate me. "The transfer would need to happen soon," the doctor said, "within the week." "Perfect," my mother replied. "We'll make the arrangements." After they left, Mia rushed in. "Did you hear?" I managed a small nod. "Don't worry," she said, checking my IV. "Jocelyn's already working on blocking the transfer. But Caitlin—" She hesitated. "We need to accelerate our timeline. You're not safe here anymore." She was right. The time for waiting was over. I needed to stand up, literally and figuratively, sooner than planned. "Tonight," I whispered. Mia nodded, understanding. "I'll tell David to bring the walking frame. If you're ready to fight, we're ready to help." I was more than ready. I was done being the victim in their story. It was time to become the author of their nightmare. The walking frame felt cold against my palms as David and Mia positioned me at the edge of the bed. 3 a.m. The quietest hour in the hospital, when even the night nurses dozed at their stations. "Remember," David whispered, "small steps. Don't push too hard." My legs trembled as I put weight on them for the first time in weeks. Pain shot through my spine, but I gritted my teeth and pushed through it. "That's it," Mia encouraged, supporting my right side. "Just like we practiced. One step, another." Each movement felt like walking through concrete, but I was moving. Actually, moving. The door opened suddenly, and we all froze. A young nurse I didn't recognize stood there, mouth agape. "It's okay, Amanda," Mia said quickly. "Close the door." Amanda slipped inside, eyes wide. "I thought everyone said she was—" "She is," David cut in firmly. "Officially. And it needs to stay that way, unless you want her family to finish what they started." Understanding dawned on Amanda's face. "The husband. I heard him on the phone earlier talking about moving her to some facility. He sounded wrong." "Exactly," Mia said. "So now you have a choice. Are you with us or not?" Amanda straightened her scrubs. "What do you need?" With another ally, our night sessions became more productive. Amanda would watch the halls, while David pushed me harder in therapy. Within days, I could stand unassisted for several minutes. But our progress wasn't fast enough. Jocelyn arrived one morning with urgent news. "They're meeting with Leon today," she said, pacing my room. "Pierce cracked under pressure and told Rose everything. She's demanding more money to stay quiet." My hand twitched toward Mia's phone on the bedside table. She helped me type, "What about the transfer?" "Your mother's pushing for it. The new facility is suspicious. Very isolated. Limited visiting hours." Jocelyn's face darkened. "We can delay it legally for maybe 3 days, but after that—" A knock interrupted us. Through the window, I saw Pierce himself standing awkwardly in the hallway. Jocelyn quickly assumed her medical consultant pose as he entered. I brought flowers, he said, not meeting anyone's eyes. His hands shook as he placed them on the windowsill. After he left, Mia checked the bouquet. There's a note, she said, unfolding a small paper. Her eyes widened as she read it. What? Jocelyn demanded. I'm sorry, Mia read. Check the brake fluid report, page 3. Jocelyn was already on her phone, typing furiously. Got it. The lab analysis. Holy shit. The brake lines weren't just cut. They were tampered with over time. Gradually. Someone who had regular access to your car. Nico, I whispered. And there's more, she continued scrolling. Traces of the same corrosive substance were found in the garage at Rose's apartment complex. The pieces clicked together. Rose and Nico had planned it together, using Pierce as their unwitting accomplice. Now, Pierce was growing a conscience. That night, during therapy, my legs gave out. I crashed to the floor, tears of frustration burning my eyes. Get up, David said firmly. You can do this. They're going to kill me, I gasped. Once I'm in that facility. Then we don't let them get you there, Mia said, helping me up. Amanda overheard your mother making the transfer arrangements for Friday morning. 2 days, I managed, gripping the walking frame. Not enough time. It has to be, David insisted. Again. We worked through the night. By morning, I could walk the length of the room with just a cane. It wasn't pretty, but it was movement. Nico visited that afternoon, bringing his usual false cheer and a cup of coffee that he sipped while checking his phone. Good news, honey, he said. We found a wonderful facility, very peaceful. You'll be so well cared for there. I wanted to smash that coffee cup into his perfect teeth. Instead, I lay still, gathering intelligence as he made calls. Everything's set, he told someone. Friday morning. Yes, Rose, I know. Just keep Pierce quiet for 2 more days. The insurance papers are ready. Once it's done, we'll have everything we need. After he left, Mia burst in. Your mother's meeting Leon in an hour. Jocelyn's already there, wired for sound. I gripped the bedsheet, mind racing. 2 days. 2 days to master walking, to gather our evidence, to prepare for whatever they had planned. Tonight, I said firmly. We do the full hallway. Mia nodded. I'll tell David. And Caitlin? She squeezed my hand. We won't let them win. Neither would I. Because while they plotted my quiet disposal, they had no idea I was plotting something too, their complete and very public destruction. Thursday morning arrived with a flurry of activity. My mother swept in early, trailing expensive perfume and false concern, accompanied by Dr. Roberts and 2 facility representatives. We'll handle all the arrangements, she assured them. My daughter will receive the best care possible. Through barely open eyes, I watched them examine me like a piece of furniture being appraised for moving. The facility has excellent security, one representative said. Very private, no unauthorized visitors. Perfect, my mother replied. That's exactly what we need. The moment they left, Mia slipped in. Jocelyn's here. Something big happened. Jocelyn entered, practically vibrating with nervous energy. Pierce came clean, she whispered. Completely clean. Signed a full confession this morning. My fingers twitched toward the phone. Mia helped me type. Why? Rose dumped him. Threatened to pin everything on him. He panicked. Jocelyn pulled out her tablet. Listen to this. Pierce's voice, shaky but clear, filled the room. It started 6 months ago. Nico was in trouble. Bad investments, hidden debt. He knew about Caitlin's trust fund, but couldn't access it. Then Rose suggested. She said if Caitlin was incapacitated, they could take control. Make it look like an accident. My hands clenched into fists. They used my garage, Pierce continued. Rose worked at a chemical lab. She knew what to use on the brake lines. Something that would look like normal wear and tear. Nico would bring Caitlin's car in for maintenance when she was working late. I thought they were just going to hurt her enough for the power of attorney. I didn't know about the medication. Jocelyn stopped the recording. He's working with the police now. They're building a case, but they need more time. If we can just delay the transfer tomorrow. A commotion in the hallway cut her off. Nico's voice raised in anger. What do you mean he confessed? Where is he? Quick, Mia hissed, helping Jocelyn hide in the bathroom just as Nico burst in. He paced the room, phone pressed to his ear. Listen to me, Rose. Calm down. No, don't leave town. Just stick to the plan. Once she's in the facility. Yes, I'll handle Pierce. After he stormed out, Jocelyn emerged. They're desperate now. They'll try something tonight. Then we move now, I whispered. Mia nodded, already texting David. Within minutes, he arrived with the walking frame. Show me, I demanded. For the next hour, they helped me walk, turn, even manage a few steps without support. Each movement was agony, but determination burned hotter than pain. Your mother's coming back, Amanda warned, poking her head in. With the doctor. Quick, Mia said, helping me back to bed. Jocelyn, the closet. I settled into my practiced stillness just as they entered. We should start the sedation tonight, Dr. Roberts was saying. Make tomorrow's transfer easier. Whatever you think is best, my mother replied smoothly. After they left, Mia checked my chart. They've ordered new medication, strong sedatives. They're not taking chances, Jocelyn said, emerging from hiding. If you're going to make a move, it has to be tonight. The trust meeting, I managed to say. Tomorrow morning. Jocelyn's eyes lit up. Leon's office. They're all gathering to finalize the paperwork before the transfer. 9 a.m. Perfect, I whispered. We spent the next hours preparing. David worked me harder than ever, while Mia and Amanda gathered supplies. Jocelyn coordinated with Leon, setting our trap. At midnight, Nico returned. He stood by my bed for a long time, just watching. I'm sorry it had to be this way, he said finally. But you never would have given me what I needed. Tomorrow, it'll all be over. He leaned down to kiss my forehead. It took everything I had not to recoil. After he left, Mia helped me up. Ready? I gripped the walking frame. One more time. Full circuit. We practiced until dawn. By morning, I could walk well enough to make an entrance, if not a graceful one. It would have to be enough. Jocelyn arrived early with clothes, a black pantsuit I'd worn to court countless times. Your armor, she said with a grim smile. As Mia helped me dress, Amanda kept watch. They're preparing the transfer documents now, she reported. Your mother's already left for the meeting. I looked in the mirror, seeing myself clearly for the first time in weeks. I was thinner, paler, but my eyes burned with purpose. The car's waiting downstairs, Jocelyn said. Leon's keeping them busy until we arrive. I gripped my cane, not just for support now, but as a weapon of sorts. They thought they were gathering to seal my fate. Instead, they were walking into their own destruction. Let's go, I said, taking my first step toward revenge. It's time they saw a ghost. Leon's office building loomed before us, all glass and steel. Jocelyn parked in the underground garage, away from the main entrance. They're all here, she said, checking her phone. Leon's stalling them with paperwork details. My legs trembled as I stepped out of the car. Mia steadied me, adjusting my suit jacket. Remember, short steps. Don't push too hard. The service elevator took us to the 10th floor. Through the glass walls of the conference room, I could see them. Nico standing by the window, my mother examining documents, my father sitting quietly. Rose paced nervously, while Pierce stared at his hands. Leon sat at the head of the table, deliberately taking his time reviewing each page. "Ready," Jocelyn whispered, holding up her phone. "Everything's recording." I nodded, gripping my cane tighter. "The signature pages are quite clear," Leon was saying as we approached. "Once Mrs. Morrison is declared legally incompetent—" "Which she is," my mother interrupted. "The doctors have confirmed—" "Actually," I said, pushing open the door, "they haven't." The silence was absolute. 6 faces turned to me, frozen in various stages of shock. Nico's coffee cup slipped from his hand, shattering on the floor. "Caitlin," my father whispered. "Impossible," my mother breathed. "You're paralyzed? Comatose? Or just conveniently unable to stop you from stealing my inheritance?" I stepped forward, each click of my cane on the hardwood floor like a gunshot. Rose bolted for the door. Jocelyn blocked her path. "Sit down," she ordered. "You'll want to hear this." "How—" Nico started, then caught himself. "Darling, you should be in the hospital. You're not well." "Play it," I told Jocelyn. She pressed play on her phone. Nico's voice filled the room. "The medication should have been enough." "No, listen to me, Pierce. We need to move faster." Color drained from his face. Pierce put his head in his hands. "Oh, there's more," I said, nodding to Leon. He pressed a button on his desk phone. "Send them in." 2 police detectives entered, followed by a man in a lab coat. "Dr. Phillips," the detective said, "please explain what you found in Mrs. Morrison's toxicology report." The doctor opened his file. Elevated levels of multiple sedatives, far exceeding prescribed doses. Additionally, traces of chemicals consistent with brake line corrosion were found in samples from the victim's garage. "Interesting timing," I said, watching Nico's face. "Right before my accident, when you were doing all that helpful car maintenance." "You can't prove anything," my mother snapped, but her voice shook. "Actually," Leon interjected, "we can. Pierce's confession this morning was quite detailed, and Rose's lab access records make fascinating reading." Rose crumpled in her chair. "Nico promised no one would get hurt. It was just supposed to be enough to get control of the trust." "Shut up!" Nico shouted, lunging toward her. The detectives moved quickly, restraining him. "Nicholas Morrison," the detective began, "you're under arrest for attempted murder, conspiracy to commit fraud." "You bitch," my mother spat at me. "After everything we've done for you." "Everything you've done?" I stepped closer, my voice low. "Like trying to kill me for money? Like planning to drug me into submission in some hidden facility?" "Delaney and Rodney Summers," the second detective said. "You're also under arrest. Roseman, Pierce Lucas, you'll need to come with us as well." As they were led away in handcuffs, my mother turned back. "You'll regret this. Family is all you have." "No," I said firmly. "Family is supposed to love you, not try to murder you for money. The only thing I regret is not seeing through you sooner." After they were gone, I finally allowed my legs to give out. Jocelyn helped me into a chair while Mia checked my pulse. "You did it," Leon said, smiling. "Your grandmother would be proud." "The trust?" I asked. "Safe," he confirmed. "And with the evidence we've gathered, they won't see a penny of it. Or anything else, for that matter. Prison tends to limit one's financial options." Mia handed me water. "The hospital's expecting you back, but this time as a regular patient, not a prisoner." I nodded, exhausted but satisfied. "What happens now?" "Now," Jocelyn said, gathering the evidence files. "You focus on healing. Let the lawyers handle the rest." Looking around the conference room where my family had planned to seal my fate, I felt strangely empty. Victory tasted different than I'd imagined. Less sweet, more complex. But as Mia helped me up, I caught my reflection in the window. I was standing, breathing, living, and that was the greatest revenge of all. The courthouse buzzed with tension. 3 months after the arrests, I sat in the front row, my cane resting against my knee, watching my family file in wearing orange jumpsuits. "All rise," the bailiff called. Nico wouldn't look at me as he passed. My mother, on the other hand, stared directly at me, her face a mask of cold fury. My father kept his eyes on the floor. "The defendants will remain standing," Judge Harrison ordered. "Before we proceed with sentencing, would any of you like to address the court?" Pierce spoke first, his voice trembling. "I'm sorry. I knew it was wrong, but I was a coward. I deserve whatever punishment I get." Rose tried next, tears streaming down her face. "I never meant for anyone to get hurt. Nico said it would be simple." "Lying bitch!" Nico suddenly exploded, lunging against his restraints. "You're the one who suggested the brake lines." "Order!" The judge's gavel cracked like thunder. My mother stood straighter. "I have something to say." She turned to face me. "Everything I did was for this family. You were always ungrateful, always thinking you knew better, just like your grandmother." "Mrs. Summers," the judge warned. "You think you've won?" she continued, ignoring him. "You've destroyed this family. Are you happy now?" I gripped my cane and pushed myself to my feet. "No, Mother, I'm not happy. I'm alive, despite your best efforts." The judge cleared his throat. "Having reviewed all evidence and considering the severity of these crimes, this court sentences the defendants as follows." He addressed each one individually. Pierce and Rose received 5 years each for conspiracy. My father got 8 years for his role. My mother and Nico both received 20 years for attempted murder and conspiracy. "You'll pay for this," Nico snarled as they led him away. "You think it's over? I'll—" "Remove the defendant," the judge ordered. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed. Jocelyn helped shield me from their cameras while Mia brought the car around. "Ms. Morrison," they called. "How does it feel to see your family convicted? Will you write a book about your experience? Any comment on the inheritance that sparked this tragedy?" I paused at the top of the steps. "My only comment is this. Trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, it probably is. And real family doesn't try to kill you for money." Back at my apartment, a new one, with better security, David was waiting to start our therapy session. "You're pushing yourself too hard," he observed as I struggled with the walking exercises. "I need to be stronger," I insisted. "You're already stronger than anyone I know," he replied. "But healing takes time." Later that evening, Leon visited with final paperwork. "The trust is completely secure now," he said, spreading documents across my coffee table. "And I've arranged for the sale of your parents' house as requested. The proceeds will go to a foundation for victims of family fraud." "Good," I said, signing where he indicated. "What about Nico's business assets?" "Liquidated. His partner bought everything at auction." "Oh, and this came for you." He handed me an envelope. Inside was a letter from Pierce, written from prison. "I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but I want you to know the whole truth. I've attached records of every conversation, every meeting. Maybe it will help you understand." A knock at the door interrupted my reading. It was Amanda, off her hospital shift. "Brought you something," she said, holding up a bag. "Real food, not that hospital garbage." As we sat eating takeout, my phone buzzed with a text from Jocelyn. "Turn on the news." The headline scrolled across the screen. "Prominent family's murder plot exposed. Daughter's incredible story of survival." "They're calling you an inspiration," Amanda said. I switched off the TV. "I don't feel inspiring. I feel tired." "That's allowed," Mia said, arriving for her evening visit. "You've been through hell." "But you crawled out," David added, joining us with his therapy equipment. "Ready for your evening session?" I nodded, gripping my cane. Each step was still a battle, but a different kind now. Not a fight for survival, but for healing. Your grandmother would be proud, Leon said quietly. Looking around at these people, my new family, chosen rather than born into, I felt something shift inside me. The anger that had fueled my revenge was fading, replaced by something else. Not peace exactly, but purpose. Time to stand up again, David encouraged. So I did, leaving my cane behind. One step at a time, moving forward, because that's what survivors do. We keep walking, even when the path ahead is uncertain. And sometimes, that's the greatest victory of all. The autumn wind rustled through the cemetery as I placed fresh flowers on my grandmother's grave. My steps were steady now, the cane long since retired to a corner of my apartment. You were right about everything, I told her headstone. I should have listened sooner. She knew you'd figure it out eventually, Leon said, standing respectfully behind me. That's why she left you the trust. A twig snapped nearby. I turned to see Rose, thinner and paler than I remembered, recently released from prison. I didn't know anyone would be here, she said, clutching a small bouquet. I can go. Stay, I said. She was your grandmother too. Rose placed her flowers next to mine. I got your letters, the ones you sent to the prison. I never answered, because… how could I? Why did you come today? She wiped her eyes. Because this is where it started, the day of the funeral, when Nico approached me about the trust. I should have said no. But you didn't. No, I didn't. She looked at me directly. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I just wanted you to know that every word in Pierce's confession was true. And I'm sorry. My phone buzzed, a text from Jocelyn. Meeting with the foundation board in 30. Where are you? I have to go, I told Rose. The foundation keeps me busy. I saw it on the news, she said. Helping other victims of family fraud. It's good. Really good. As I turned to leave, she called after me. Caitlin, Mother's been writing to me from prison, trying to scheme even now. Some people never change. No, I agreed, they don't. At the foundation's offices, Mia was waiting with coffee. She'd left nursing to become our victim advocate, using her experience to help others. Ready for this? She asked as we entered the boardroom. David was there, presenting a new physical therapy program for trauma survivors. Amanda had developed a hospital screening protocol to identify potential victims. Even Pierce, still in prison, contributed by video link, sharing insights into how predators chose their targets. The support network is growing, Jocelyn reported. We've helped 20 families this month alone. Speaking of families, Leon interjected, there's something you should know. Nico's been causing trouble in prison, trying to contact other inmates' families, starting new schemes. Let him try, I said. We're watching now, all of us. That evening, I visited the hospital where it all began. Not as a patient, but as a speaker for the medical staff training program. Trust your instincts, I told them. Like Mia did, like Amanda did. You might be someone's only chance. Afterward, in the parking lot, I heard footsteps behind me. My body tensed, ready for fight or flight. Old habits die hard. But it was just a young nurse, eyes bright with tears. My sister, she said. What you described, it's happening to her right now. Can you help? That's why we're here, I said, taking out my card. Call this number, day or night. At home, I found a package waiting. Inside was my grandmother's diary, sent by a distant cousin who'd found it in storage. The final entry read, Caitlin will face challenges. They'll try to break her. But she has something they don't understand. The strength to stand alone. And when she finds her true family, the ones who choose her, she'll be unstoppable. My phone lit up with messages. Mia sharing success stories from today's support group. David sending videos of his patient's progress. Amanda reporting suspicious patterns she'd noticed at work. Jocelyn planning our next legal advocacy campaign. A new message popped up. From Pierce. Another inmate approached me. Said Nico offered him a deal. I'm reporting it to the warden, but thought you should know. I smiled grimly. Let Nico plot. Let my mother scheme. They didn't understand that they'd given me something invaluable, the knowledge that I could survive anything. And I wasn't alone anymore. The doorbell rang. My new family arrived for our weekly dinner tradition. Mia, David, Amanda, Jocelyn, Leon. Even Rose, tentatively accepting her first invitation. To survival, Mia toasted. To justice, Jocelyn added. To family, I said. The ones we choose. Looking around at these faces, the nurse who believed me, the therapist who helped me stand, the lawyer who fought for me, the friends who became more than blood ever was, I finally felt it. Not just survival, not just justice, peace. Because sometimes the family you're born with shows you exactly what you don't want to be. And the family you build shows you exactly who you were meant to become.
Get out. This house is ours now. Amanda's voice rang through the hallway where I had grown up. Mom's pictures were still on the walls, and I stood there, still wearing my black funeral dress, struggling to believe how fast everything had fallen apart. My name is Olivia Parker, and less than a day after burying my mother, my sister-in-law was trying to kick me out of my childhood home. You can't do this, I said, my voice shaking. I live here. I took care of Mom for 3 years while you and Marcus never even visited. Amanda smirked. Actually, we can. Marcus is the oldest, so everything goes to him now. That's just how it works. I turned to my brother, who stood silently behind her. Marcus had always been the successful one, the golden child who moved away and married well. Meanwhile, I had stayed, putting my life on hold to care for Mom. Marcus, I pleaded, you can't let her do this. This is our home. He avoided my eyes, shifting uncomfortably. Amanda's right, live. Mom's gone now, and we have plans for the house. Plans? My stomach sank. What kind of plans? Amanda's eyes gleamed. We're selling it, of course. The property value is high. We'll make a fortune. I couldn't believe it. This wasn't just a house. It was filled with memories. The kitchen where Mom taught me to bake. The backyard where Dad built our treehouse. The living room where we spent every Christmas together before Marcus left. You have until tomorrow evening, Amanda said, glancing at her watch. Take your things and leave. Whatever's left is ours. The will hasn't even been read yet. I protested. Amanda sighed, faking sympathy. Oh, sweetheart, do you really think your mother left anything to you? You never even had a real job. You just stayed here while Marcus built a successful life. The truth was, I had paused my graphic design career to care for Mom. I worked remotely so I could be there for her, but Amanda saw it as a failure. The will is being read tomorrow morning, I said firmly. I'm not leaving until then. Amanda's smile faded. Fine, enjoy your last night here, but when the will proves what we all know, I want you gone. As they walked away, I heard Amanda whisper to Marcus, finally, we can get rid of her and sell this place. That night, I sat in Mom's room, surrounded by her things. Her scent still lingered. Memories flooded my mind. Our late-night talks, the way she squeezed my hand when she was in pain, how she loved me reading to her every evening. I'm sorry, honey, she had said one night, that you put your life on hold for me. Mom, no, I had told her. You're my life too. She had smiled, a knowing smile I hadn't understood until I found the letter hidden in her favorite book. I pulled it out and read it again. My dearest Olivia, your brother only cares about money, just like his wife. But you, my sweet girl, see what really matters. You stayed when others left. You gave when others took. Remember that tomorrow, when Mr. Sullivan reads the will. A mother knows her children's true hearts. All my love, Mom. I carefully folded the letter and put it away. Tomorrow would change everything, but not in the way Amanda and Marcus expected. Let them think they had won. Let them believe they could push me out. Tomorrow, they would learn the truth. As I got ready for bed, I heard them outside, already measuring rooms and planning renovations. Just like at the funeral, when they thought no one could hear them talking about selling the house. Just a few more hours, Amanda said smugly, and we'll never have to deal with her again. If only they knew what was coming. The next morning was bright and clear, but the air was thick with tension. I arrived early at Mr. Sullivan's office, gripping my coffee like a lifeline. Amanda and Marcus walked in 15 minutes late, dressed like they were going to a business meeting instead of a will reading. "Let's get this over with," Amanda said, sitting down. "We have a realtor coming to see the house this afternoon." Mr. Sullivan, my mother's lawyer and longtime friend, adjusted his glasses and looked at them. His face gave nothing away, but I noticed how carefully he arranged the papers in front of him. "Before we start," he said, "I want to mention that Sarah, your mother, made important changes to her will 3 months ago." Marcus frowned. "Changes? What kind of changes?" Mr. Sullivan didn't answer directly. Instead, he opened the folder and began to read. "I, Sarah Elizabeth Parker, being of sound mind, declare this to be my last will and testament." Amanda tapped her fingers impatiently as he read through the legal details. Then came the part they were waiting for. "Regarding my home and everything in it," Mr. Sullivan said, pausing to meet their eyes, "I leave it entirely to my daughter, Olivia Parker." Silence filled the room. "What?" Amanda's voice cracked. "That's impossible." Mr. Sullivan continued as if she hadn't spoken. "To my son Marcus and his wife Amanda, I leave $1,000, along with this message. The time you didn't spend with me in life shouldn't be rewarded in death." Marcus turned pale. "This has to be a mistake. Mom wouldn't." "Additionally," Mr. Sullivan went on, "I leave my entire savings and investments to Olivia Parker in recognition of her love and care during my illness." Amanda jumped to her feet. "This is outrageous. She must have pressured Sarah into this when she was sick. We'll fight it." Mr. Sullivan remained calm. "I expected this reaction. Here is a video of Sarah explaining her decisions, completely aware and in control. Would you like to watch it?" Amanda's face twisted with anger. "You planned this," she spat at me. "You turned her against us." I took a slow sip of my coffee, keeping my voice steady. "No, Amanda. You did that yourselves. Every missed holiday, every ignored phone call, every excuse not to visit, Mom noticed. She saw everything." "Mr. Sullivan," Marcus started, his voice unsteady, "isn't there anything we can do?" "There's more," Mr. Sullivan said. "Sarah left personal letters for each of you." He handed them their envelopes. I already knew what mine said. Mom had shared it with me during one of our late-night talks. But watching Amanda and Marcus read theirs, I saw the realization hit them like a slap. Marcus sank into his chair, his hands shaking. Amanda just stared at her letter, speechless for once. "The realtor," she muttered. "We need to cancel." "Yes," I said quietly, "you do. And you need to move your things out of my house by tomorrow evening." The irony wasn't lost on anyone. Mr. Sullivan cleared his throat. "Everything is in order. Olivia, I'll need you to stay and sign a few documents." Amanda stormed out, Marcus following behind her. Through the window, I watched them arguing in the parking lot, their gestures frantic. "Your mother was very proud of you," Mr. Sullivan said softly. "She knew exactly what she was doing." I nodded, thinking of all the moments Mom and I had shared, of the quiet wisdom she had passed on to me. "She knew them better than they knew themselves," I murmured. "And she knew this day would come." As I signed the final papers, I felt lighter. Mom had made sure our home stayed with the person who truly cared about it. Amanda's dreams of selling it were over. Walking to my car, I heard Amanda's voice echo across the parking lot. "This isn't over." But it was. Mom had made sure of that. And as I drove home, to my home, I smiled. Justice doesn't always come with a fight. Sometimes it comes with a mother's quiet strength and a will that says everything. The weeks after the will reading brought changes I never saw coming. The first surprise came one evening when Marcus showed up alone at my door. He didn't look like the confident businessman Amanda had shaped him into. He looked like my little brother again. "Can we talk?" he asked, shifting awkwardly, just like he used to when we were kids and he'd broken something of mine. I let him in, watching as he took in the house. Mom's touch was still everywhere, mixed with my own. Nothing like the sleek, modern space Amanda had planned to turn it into. I found these, he said, pulling out a stack of old photos from his jacket. From before everything. The pictures showed us as kids, playing in the backyard while Mom watched from the porch with her warm smile. Back when Marcus was just my goofy little brother, before Amanda convinced him that success meant leaving his past behind. I'm sorry, Liv, he said, his voice cracking. Mom's letter. She wrote about how you took care of her. How you read to her every night even after working all day. How you never complained, even when he swallowed hard. She loved you, Marcus, I said gently. She was just disappointed in your choices. He nodded, wiping his eyes. Amanda and I are separating. After the will reading, I started seeing things differently. How she always pushed me to put money over family. You don't have to explain, I interrupted. Mom always said people revealed their true selves eventually. The second surprise came a week later. Amanda tried to fight the will, but the video Mr. Sullivan had mentioned surfaced. In it, Mom spoke clearly and confidently, explaining her choices. My daughter Olivia understands that a home is more than just walls and a roof, she said. It's where memories live, where love grows. Amanda and Marcus see only dollar signs. They'll learn too late perhaps that some things can't be measured in money. The video spread quickly in our small town. Amanda's perfect reputation crumbled. Many of her real estate clients had known Mom, and after seeing the video, they wanted nothing to do with her. I focused on moving forward. I turned Mom's old sewing room into my graphic design studio and started taking on more clients, rebuilding my career on my own terms. Marcus started coming over for Sunday dinners, just like we used to when we were kids. Sometimes we'd sit in the garden Mom loved so much, remembering stories we'd almost forgotten. I could see the real Marcus coming back, the one Amanda had buried under expectations and ambition. You know what I remember most? He said one evening. Mom always said karma doesn't need an audience. She just sits back and waits for the right moment. I smiled. Mom had been right. Amanda had rushed to sell the house, dismissing the years I had spent caring for Mom. And in the end, it had all backfired. 3 months after the will reading, I got a letter from Amanda's lawyer. She was officially giving up any claims to the house. Marcus told me she had moved to another state, trying to rebuild her image somewhere people didn't know the truth. That evening, I sat in Mom's favorite chair, flipping through her old photo albums. Inside, I found a note in her elegant handwriting. Sometimes the greatest gift we can give our children is the chance to show who they truly are. Watch, wait, and trust that truth will always surface in its own time. I ran my fingers over the words, feeling closer to her than ever. She hadn't just left me a house. She had given me the chance to rebuild my life, my relationship with my brother, and the peace of knowing I had honored her in the way she had hoped. The house remains unchanged, a testament to Mom's love and wisdom. Marcus visits often, helping me tend the garden she cherished. And sometimes, when I sit on the porch where she used to watch us play, I can almost feel her smile. She had always known what Amanda never understood. The true value of a home isn't in its price, but in the love it holds and the memories it keeps safe. And in the end, that was worth more than anything. I was at work, organizing files, when my phone buzzed with a message from my husband James. I've given Mom our house. You can leave now. She needs it more than you do. Your stuff will be on the lawn by tonight. I didn't shake. I didn't cry. I simply told my assistant I needed a moment. The only sign that my husband of 8 years was trying to kick me out was a slight tightening around my eyes. My name is Olivia Parker, and at 35, I just got the coldest eviction notice ever. But while James was likely feeling smug, imagining me crying at my desk, I calmly locked my office door and called my lawyer. Mr. Wilson, it's happening, I said. James just texted that he's given the house to his mother. As we suspected, Mr. Wilson replied. I take it he didn't check the property records? Apparently not, I said, a small smile forming. Should I tell him or let him find out the hard way? Let's see how it plays out, he suggested. I'll get the paperwork ready. I looked out the window, thinking about the house James thought he could give away, the Victorian home my grandmother left me, the house I grew up in. James moved in after we got married, convincing me it was smart to live there to save money. He never knew I kept the house in my name. no matter how many times he suggested adding him to the deed. More texts from James. Mom's always wanted this house. You never appreciated it like she would. Don't bother coming home tonight. The locks are changed. I took screenshots of every message, adding them to my growing file of evidence. James was digging his own grave, and he didn't even know it. I had seen this coming. The secretive phone calls, the sudden password changes, his questions about property values. 3 months ago, I heard him promise his mother she'd have her dream house soon. That night, I met with Mr. Wilson to review my grandmother's will. The house was mine, protected by a clause that stopped any transfer without my consent. Your grandmother was smart, Mr. Wilson said. She made sure the house would always be yours. James never bothered to read the will or check the records. His arrogance was his downfall. Then his mother, Margaret, called. Olivia, she said sweetly, James told me the good news. We'll pack your things for you. It's for the best, dear. This house was wasted on you. Thank you for letting me know, I said, calm and polite. Anything else? She hesitated, clearly expecting me to cry or beg. Well, we'll need you to sign some papers. I'm sure you will, I replied before hanging up. By evening, my phone was flooded with messages from James and his family, from smug taunts to threats. I forwarded them all to Mr. Wilson and checked into the hotel I had booked weeks ago, just in case. From my laptop, I saw that James had filed transfer papers for my house. They would be flagged as fraudulent as he had no legal right to transfer a house he didn't own. I poured a glass of wine and smiled, knowing the shock that awaited him and his mother. One last text came through. Mom's already planning renovations. Should have done this years ago. Hope you found a nice cardboard box to live in. I saved the screenshot, turned off my phone, and relaxed. Tomorrow would be a dramatic day, but tonight, I could rest easy knowing I was miles ahead of their little scheme. I looked at an old photo of my grandmother standing proudly in front of the house. Her words echoed in my mind. Always be 3 steps ahead, Olivia, and never let anyone take what's yours. I learned that lesson well. The next morning, I walked into Mr. Wilson's office as his secretary brewed coffee. Things were already heating up. Your husband and his mother tried to file the property transfer this morning, Mr. Wilson said, sliding a paper across his desk. The clerk flagged it right away. They're having quite the meltdown at the county office. I turned on my phone to find 37 missed calls and a stream of frantic texts from James. Why isn't the transfer going through? What did you do? The clerk says there's a problem with the paperwork. Answer your fate on me. Should we tell them now? I asked, watching another text pop up from Margaret about fixing this ridiculous situation. Mr. Wilson checked his watch and grinned. They should be figuring it out right about. My phone rang. James. You never put my name on the deed, he shouted. How could you be so selfish? This was supposed to be our house. No, James, I replied, keeping my voice calm. This was always my house. My grandmother left it to me, remember? But I'm your husband. Everything's supposed to be shared. His voice cracked. Mom's devastated. She already hired contractors. Maybe you should have checked the property records before making promises, I said. This is ridiculous. I'm coming home right now. We need to talk about this. Actually, you won't be able to get in. I had the locks changed this morning. The silence was deafening. You? What? Changed the locks. Since you did the same yesterday. Also, the security cameras I installed last month caught you and your mother moving my stuff out. That's documented theft, by the way. Another long pause. You've been planning this, he accused. You knew we would. Try to steal my house? Yeah, I knew. I heard you promise it to your mom months ago. I've been documenting everything since then. Mr. Wilson motioned for the phone. I put it on speaker. Mr. Parker, he said, his voice firm. This is Douglas Wilson, Mrs. Parker's attorney. We have extensive documentation of your attempts to fraudulently transfer property you don't own, as well as evidence of theft and harassment. Would you like to discuss this with your lawyer present? I heard Margaret's voice in the background, panicking. James must have been at her house. Olivia, he said, his voice softening. We can work this out. Mom just loves the house so much, and you've always said you wanted something more modern. I'll send you some real estate agents' numbers, I replied. Maybe they can help you and your mom find a house that's actually for sale, one she won't have to steal. Steal? I'm your husband. Everything I did was legal. Trying to transfer property you don't own is fraud, Mr. Wilson cut in. Would you like me to explain the potential criminal charges? Margaret's voice grew shrill. The contractors are already scheduled. I've picked out new furniture. Sounds like a you problem, I said. By the way, I'll be heading home soon to check on my property since you moved my things out without permission. Olivia, please, James tried one last time. Where are you supposed to stay? In my house. The one my grandmother left me. The one you tried to steal. I paused. You and your mom should start apartment hunting. I hear cardboard boxes are available too. I hung up before he could respond, feeling a weight lift off my shoulders. Mr. Wilson was already drafting more documents. They'll probably try to claim marital property rights, he said. But the will is ironclad, and we have proof of their attempted fraud. Do you want to press charges? I thought about James and Margaret standing in her kitchen, watching their plan fall apart. The contractors they hired, the furniture Margaret ordered, all based on the assumption they could just take what wasn't theirs. Not yet, I said. I want them to fully understand what they tried to do and who they tried to do it to. I drove home, my home, ready to see what mess they'd left behind. My security cameras had caught everything, and I had no doubt they'd be useful if they tried anything else. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about getting even. It's about being prepared and letting karma do the rest. 2 weeks after James and Margaret's failed attempt to steal my house, I was replanting my grandmother's rose garden. Margaret had half dug it up during her premature renovation spree, convinced the property was already hers. But the roses, like me, were more resilient than she counted on. My phone buzzed. A text from my sister, Kate. You won't believe what I just heard from Linda next door. Margaret's telling everyone you forged the property documents. I smiled, patting soil around a new rose bush. Let her talk, I replied. The county records speak for themselves. Predictably, Margaret was playing the victim, spreading lies about how I tricked James and stolen her dream home. James, meanwhile, oscillated between angry demands and desperate pleas. Baby, we can still fix this, he texted yesterday. Just add me to the deed, and we'll forget this whole thing happened. I didn't bother responding. I forwarded it to Mr. Wilson for our growing file. The doorbell rang, interrupting my thoughts. Another delivery. This time it was Margaret's new furniture. Sorry, I told the delivery guys, but this isn't her house. Never was. They looked confused but eventually loaded the furniture back onto the truck. I'd lost count of how many deliveries I turned away. Contractors, interior designers, even a pool company. Margaret had really gone all out planning her little coup. That evening, Kate dropped by with takeout and a bottle of wine. We sat on the porch, the same porch where our grandmother used to sit, sipping sweet tea and sharing stories about standing your ground and protecting what matters. James's sister called me, Kate said, pouring the wine. Apparently, he and Margaret started selling their furniture weeks ago, convinced they'd be moving in here. Now they're sleeping on air mattresses. I couldn't help but laugh. Karma has a sense of humor. Did you hear they tried to claim adverse possession? Kate asked. Mr. Wilson shut that down fast, I replied. Apparently, you can't claim adverse possession of a house you were invited to live in by the legal owner. Who knew? We clinked glasses, watching the sunset over my grandmother's garden. The roses were already showing new growth. You know what's funny? I said. If they just asked, had an honest conversation about it, I might have considered selling. But they thought they could just take it. Like they've taken everything else over the years, Kate agreed. Remember when Margaret borrowed Mom's antique china? And James said I was being difficult when I asked for it back. I shook my head. Should have seen this coming. The next morning, I received a formal letter from James's lawyer requesting a divorce settlement meeting. Attached was a list of demands including fair compensation for the improvements he'd made to the house. I forwarded it to Mr. Wilson. His response was immediate. Don't worry. I've got documentation of every home improvement payment coming from your accounts. Would he like to discuss the rent he should have been paying all these years? A few days later, I heard through the grapevine that Margaret had been hospitalized for stress after her interior designer refused to refund her deposits. James was apparently couch surfing between friends, his smug confidence replaced by the dawning realization that actions have consequences. I sat in my grandmother's study, now my home office, looking at her portrait on the wall. She'd built this house from the ground up, protected it for decades, and made sure it would stay in the family. Your grandmother was one smart lady, Mr. Wilson had said while reviewing her will. She set this up knowing someday someone might try exactly what James and Margaret attempted. I watched the sunset through the study windows, feeling a peace I hadn't felt in years. The house was quiet, but it was a good quiet. A peaceful quiet. I'd repainted the walls, restored my grandmother's furniture to its rightful place, and slowly erased every trace of their attempted takeover. The roses were blooming again, stronger than ever. My grandmother always said, "Sometimes you have to let people show you who they are. Just make sure you're ready when they do." I raised my evening tea to her portrait, a silent toast to the woman who taught me how to stand my ground with grace. Her house, my house, would stay exactly where it belonged, in the hands of someone who knew its true value. Good luck surviving now. The message popped up on my phone at midnight, followed by a picture of our empty home safe. I stared at it, sitting in my hotel room after a long day at a medical conference. Another message came right after. Change all the locks too. Time to see how you do without my money. My name is Olivia. I'm 35 years old, and my husband James was trying to ruin my life through text messages. But what he didn't know was that I had been expecting this for months. I opened my home security app and checked the live camera feed. There he was, walking around our living room, throwing papers into a box. His girlfriend Amanda, who used to be my assistant, followed him closely, pointing at things she wanted. "Take that vase," she said, looking at my grandmother's antique. "It'll look great in our new condo." James laughed. "Take whatever you want, babe. She doesn't deserve any of it anyway." I watched as they took valuables, unaware that the hidden camera in the ceiling was recording everything. I had installed it months ago when I first noticed James acting suspiciously. Another message from James: "The safe's empty. Should have been smarter with your money, Liv." I smiled. The money he stole was only a small part of my real savings. 6 months ago, when I noticed him being secretive, I had already moved most of my money to a private account. Then, a text from my lawyer, Marcus. Got the footage. Clear evidence of theft and fraud. "Want me to file the case tonight?" "Not yet," I replied. "Let's see what else he does." I had hired Marcus after discovering that James was stealing from my medical practice. As a successful dermatologist, I had built my business from scratch. James had pretended to be a supportive husband, but in reality, he'd have been stealing behind my back. I found out when I noticed strange charges, expensive equipment we never got, payments to fake companies, all of it traced back to accounts James had created as my office manager. Another text from James: "Amanda is better than you, younger, prettier, and she knows how to treat a man." I checked the camera feed again. They were in our bedroom now. Amanda was trying on my expensive dresses while James filmed her, laughing. They thought they had won. "The practice will be mine too," James texted. "Since I managed it, I own half. Good luck starting over at your age." I thought about the documents in my hotel safe, proof that James had been stealing from my business. I had worked with an expert accountant to collect bank records, forged signatures, and fake purchases. Then my sister, Kate, called. "Have you seen James's Facebook post?" she asked. "What post?" "He just announced your divorce. He's telling everyone that you were a cold wife who only cared about work. Oh, and he's saying you cheated on him." I felt anger rise, but I pushed it down. "Perfect," I said. "Screenshot everything." "Already did," Kate said. "But aren't you mad? He's ruining your reputation." I watched the camera feed as James and Amanda packed their bags, thinking they had won. "No," I said. "I'm not mad anymore. I'm ready." "Ready for what?" "Justice." I hung up and texted Marcus, time for phase 1. Then I opened James's last message. "Bet you regret not signing that postnup. Everything is mine now." I thought about the prenuptial agreement in my lawyer's office, the one James thought he had destroyed. It clearly stated that if he cheated, he would get nothing. I typed back, "You're right about one thing. Someone's going to regret their choices." Then I set my phone down and watched as James and Amanda celebrated, completely unaware that everything was being recorded, every crime documented. Tomorrow the real battle would begin. But tonight, I would let them dig their own grave. James sent one last message. Don't bother coming home. Your key won't work. I smiled, remembering the locksmith's bill in my files. Thanks for letting me know, I replied. Some people think kindness is weakness. James was about to learn the truth. The next morning, while James was probably sleeping off his celebration, I was already in Marcus's office, planning my next move. On his computer screen, the security footage clearly showed James and Amanda stealing from my house. The evidence is solid, Marcus said, laying out documents on his desk. Bank records show he moved over $200,000 from your practice into hidden accounts. The video shows him stealing your belongings, and his social media posts prove he's trying to ruin your reputation. I watched another clip of James emptying our safe with a smug smile. What do we do first? I asked. We've already frozen all your business accounts and filed an emergency order. He can't take any more money, Marcus explained. We also reported his embezzlement to the medical board and the police this morning. My phone buzzed with another text from James. Missing your fancy clothes yet? Amanda looks better in them anyway. I ignored it and asked Marcus, what about the house? Marcus grinned. That's the best part. The house is in your name, and with his threatening messages, we got a court order to change the locks back. The locksmith is on his way now with the police. Right then, my security app sent me a notification. James had just opened the door to find 2 police officers and a locksmith standing there. I turned on the audio feed. Sir, we have a court order to restore Dr. Walker's access to her property, one officer said firmly. This is my house, James shouted. She's the one, Bo. The property deed says otherwise, the other officer cut in. Please step aside. I watched as James paced angrily, calling his lawyer while Amanda stood behind him, wearing one of my designer dresses. The locksmith quickly changed the locks and handed the new keys to the officers. Dr. Walker can pick these up at the station, he said. My phone rang. It was James's lawyer, Mr. Phillips. Olivia, he began carefully, maybe we can resolve this peacefully. Peacefully, I repeated, like how James peacefully stole from me and gave my clothes to his girlfriend. Those are just accusations, he tried to argue. I have recordings, I said firmly. Every second, from every angle. Should I send you the footage? Silence. I thought so, I continued. Tell James he has until 5 p.m. to return everything he took. If he doesn't, we'll add theft charges to the embezzlement case. I hung up and turned back to Marcus. When will the accountant's report be ready? Already done, Marcus replied, showing me another file. It proves that James has been stealing for 18 months. He didn't just take money. He also faked patient records to cover up extra cash payments. My security app beeped again. James and Amanda were rushing to pack up everything they stole. Their confident smiles were gone, replaced by panic. Another text from James. You're bluffing. You can't prove anything. I sent him one short video clip, him opening the safe while bragging to Amanda about stealing from my practice. He quickly replied, That's illegal surveillance. No, I wrote back. It's security footage from my own house, showing a crime in progress. Big difference. Marcus's phone rang. It was Mr. Phillips again. After a brief chat, Marcus looked at me. They want to negotiate, he said. James will return everything if you drop the criminal charges. I watched through the camera as James and Amanda argued in my living room. Amanda was crying, realizing their plan had fallen apart. No deals, I said firmly. He made his choice. By 4 p.m., police cars were parked outside my house. Officers made a list of everything James and Amanda returned, my jewelry, clothes, important documents, before putting them back in place. I got a text from Amanda. I'm sorry. I didn't know about the embezzlement. I'll tell the police everything. I blocked her number. She'd made her choices, and she would face the consequences. The medical board wouldn't go easy on an assistant who helped steal from a practice. Through the camera, I watched as James was led to a police car. His arrogance was gone, replaced by shock. He thought I was too kind and too weak to fight back. He never realized that I was prepared for every move he made. As night fell, I sat in Marcus's office, looking over the final paperwork. James would face serious criminal charges. Amanda was in trouble with the medical board, and my practice was more secure than ever. My phone buzzed one last time. A text from James. I'm sorry. Give me another chance. We can fix this. I deleted it without replying. Some bridges, once burned, should stay ashes. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but tonight, I had taken back everything he tried to steal: my home, my business, and my power. 6 months after James tried to ruin my life, I sat in my newly renovated office going through patient files. My practice was doing better than ever, thanks to a new security system and a reliable management team. My phone buzzed with a news alert. James took a plea deal. He got 3 years for stealing and had to pay back everything he took. His attempt to claim part of my practice failed once all the evidence of his crimes came out. "Did you see the news?" Kate asked as she walked in with coffee. She was my new practice manager, and her financial skills and loyalty had been a huge help. "Just saw it," I said, taking the coffee. "Seems fair." Amanda called again, Kate added, sitting down. "She wants to apologize in person." I shook my head. After James was arrested, Amanda tried to distance herself from a whole mess. She even offered to testify against him, but with all the security footage, her testimony wasn't needed. Last I heard, she moved back to Ohio with her parents, her dreams of living rich off stolen money completely crushed. "Some apologies," I said, "are better left unsaid." Sunlight poured through my office windows, highlighting the changes I made after James was gone. I'd replaced his tacky motivational posters with beautiful art from local artists. My grandmother's vase, the one Amanda tried to take, sat proudly on my desk, filled with fresh flowers. My phone buzzed again. A message from Marcus. "Final restitution payment received. It's over." I smiled, thinking about how different things could have been if I hadn't trusted my instincts, if I hadn't noticed the missing money, installed cameras, or kept records of everything. Kate brought me back to the present. "Mom wants you to come to dinner tonight. She's making your favorite lasagna." After everything happened, Kate's family became like my home. They helped me rebuild my practice and my trust in people. "Tell her I'll be there," I replied. "But first, I need to do something." That evening, I stood in my home office, looking at the last box of James's things: photos, old letters, and memories of our marriage. His lawyer had asked for them weeks ago, but I wasn't ready to face it. Today felt like the right time. Just as I sealed the box, my security system beeped. Someone was at my front door. It was James's mom, Eleanor. I hadn't seen her since James's arrest. I opened the door, surprised to see how much older she looked. "Olivia," she said softly, "I owe you an apology." I invited her in, and she sat at my kitchen counter. "I should have seen who he really was," she admitted. "I kept making excuses for him, thinking he'd grow up one day." She handed me an envelope. "I found these in his old room, checks he stole from me, credit card bills I didn't even know about. He was stealing long before he met you." I made us tea and listened as she talked about the son she thought she knew. "You were the best thing that ever happened to him," she said, wiping her eyes. "And he threw it all away because he couldn't stop taking what wasn't his." After she left, I added the envelope to the box of James's things. It was just more proof of who he really was. My phone buzzed again. A text from an unknown number. It was James, using his prison phone. "I miss you. I know I messed up, but I've changed. When I get out..." I blocked the number without finishing the message. Some doors needed to stay closed. That night, at Kate's family dinner, surrounded by laughter and love, I realized something important. James hadn't destroyed me, he freed me. Freed me from doubt, from settling, from accepting less than I deserved. My phone buzzed with another alert, a 5-star review from a new patient, praising my practice's professional and caring atmosphere. I smiled, remembering how far I'd come since that night 6 months ago, when James and Amanda thought they'd won. They expected me to fall apart, to beg, to be defeated. Instead, I came back stronger, wiser, and more successful than ever. Your birthmark makes you ugly. Diana's words cut through the silence of our family dinner like a knife. My hand instinctively rose to touch the port wine stain that covered the left side of my face, a habit I developed over years of enduring stares and whispers. My name is Olivia, and at 28, I'd spent my entire life learning to embrace my birthmark. That is, until I married into the Anderson family 6 months ago. My husband James squeezed my hand under the table, but remained silent as his mother continued her tirade. "I mean, really," Diana went on, swirling her wine glass dramatically, Couldn't you at least try harder to cover it up? There are so many makeup products these days. It's embarrassing having to explain to my friends why my son married someone who looks like that. The dining room felt suffocating. James's sister Amy smirked from across the table, while his father George suddenly became very interested in his mashed potatoes. No one spoke up. No one ever did when Diana started her attacks. "I'm a dermatologist, Diana," I said quietly, my voice steady despite the trembling in my hands. "This is a vascular birthmark. It's not something makeup can simply cover up." "Well, then maybe you're not a very good dermatologist," she sneered, standing up to grab my still full plate. "If you can't even fix your own face, how can you help others?" With a dramatic flourish, she dumped my dinner into the trash. I felt James tense beside me, but still he said nothing. 6 months of marriage and he had yet to defend me against his mother's cruelty. The silence hurt more than Diana's words ever could. "You know what?" I pushed back my chair, the screech against the hardwood floor making everyone wince. "I think I'm done here. Not just with dinner, but with all of this." "Olivia, wait," James finally spoke, reaching for my arm. But I was already gathering my things. "No, James. I've waited 6 months for you to stand up to your mother. I've endured every snide comment, every backhanded compliment, every deliberate attempt to humiliate me. I'm done waiting." Diana's triumphant smile only fueled my determination. What she didn't know, what none of them knew, was that I'd been working on something revolutionary in my dermatology practice. Something that could change everything for people with vascular birthmarks like mine. "You think this birthmark makes me ugly?" I turned to face Diana, my voice stronger than ever. "This birthmark made me who I am. It's why I became a dermatologist. It's why I've spent the last 5 years developing a new treatment protocol. And it's why I know exactly who I am and what I'm worth." The smile slipped from Diana's face, replaced by confusion. She wasn't used to me fighting back. "What treatment protocol?" James asked, finally showing interest. "Too little, too late." "You'll see," I replied, grabbing my car keys. "Everyone will see. But right now, I'm going home. My home, not this house of judgment and cruelty." As I walked out, I heard Amy Stage whisper, "Drama queen, she's probably making it all up." Let them think that. In 6 months, my research would be complete. The clinical trials were already showing promising results that would revolutionize how we treat vascular birthmarks. I'd been selected to present my findings at the International Dermatology Conference, and several major medical journals were interested in publishing my work. But they didn't need to know that yet. Let Diana think she'd won. Let James stew in his cowardice. Let Amy snicker behind her perfectly manicured hands. I drove home to my apartment, the one I kept despite James's insistence we sell it after the wedding. Another decision that suddenly seemed prescient rather than paranoid. As I looked in the mirror that night, I traced the edges of my birthmark. This part of me that Diana found so revolting had driven me to study medicine, to specialize in dermatology, to develop new treatments for others like me. My phone buzzed with messages from James. "Come back. We can talk about this." "Mom didn't mean it." "You're overreacting." I turned off my phone and opened my laptop instead. My presentation for the conference needed finalizing, and I had a call with the medical board in the morning about fast-tracking approval for my treatment protocol. Diana thought my birthmark made me ugly. She had no idea it had made me unstoppable. The next 6 months flew by as I focused on clinical trials, research papers, and getting ready for the International Dermatology Conference. I buried myself in work, finding comfort in the positive results of my treatment. My phone was mostly silent. James's messages went from daily pleas to weekly check-ins, then stopped altogether. Diana, however, made sure her opinions were known. She told everyone that I had abandoned her precious son, and that my vanity over my birthmark had ruined our marriage. If only she knew the truth. One morning, as I was reviewing patient data, my colleague Sophia burst into my office, holding a tablet excitedly. "Olivia, look, the conference schedule is out. You're giving the keynote speech." I took the tablet, my heart racing as I saw the announcement. My research wasn't just included. It was the breakthrough of the year. The treatment I developed was being called revolutionary. "This is huge," Sophia said, sitting on my desk. "And the timing is perfect. Did you see who else is coming?" I scanned the attendee list and froze at a familiar name. Dr. Marcus Anderson, head of dermatology at Boston General, my former father-in-law. George will be there, I whispered. Which means Diana will find out. Exactly, Sophia grinned. And wait until they see your results. The before and after photos are amazing. She was right. My treatment didn't just reduce the appearance of vascular birthmarks, it helped normalize the affected blood vessels while protecting the surrounding tissue. The results were incredible, and I had even tested it on myself. The port wine stain that Diana had mocked me for had faded significantly. Not completely, that wasn't the goal, but enough to prove that the treatment worked. More importantly, it gave hope to others like me. 2 weeks before the conference, I had an unexpected visitor at my clinic. Emmy, my former sister-in-law, stood in the waiting room, looking nervous. "What are you doing here?" I asked, keeping my voice calm. She hesitated, then handed me a magazine, a medical journal featuring my research. "Dad left this at home. Mom saw it and lost her mind. She thinks you're trying to embarrass her." I laughed. Of course she does. Everything's about her. "James saw it too," Emmy added. "He's been different since you left. Quieter. He even stood up to Mom last week." "Too little, too late," I replied, giving the journal back. "Is there something you need?" Amy touched her neck, trying to hide a small strawberry hemangioma, a type of vascular birthmark. "It showed up a few months ago," she admitted. "Mom's making me wear turtlenecks, saying I'll embarrass the family like you did." The irony wasn't lost on me. Diana's perfect daughter now dealing with the very thing she ridiculed me for. "The conference is in 2 weeks," I said gently. "I'll be talking about treatments for vascular marks, including hemangiomas. You're welcome to come." Amy's eyes widened. "Really? Even after everything?" "This isn't about family drama, Amy. It's about helping people who feel ashamed of things they can't control. Sound familiar?" She nodded, tears in her eyes. "I'm sorry, Olivia. I didn't realize how cruel we were until it was me." As she left, I thought about how Diana's behavior had affected her children. James's inability to stand up for himself. Amy's need for perfection. My treatment could help with physical marks, but some scars went deeper. The day of the conference arrived. I stood backstage, reviewing my presentation one last time. I saw George in the audience, his face unreadable. My phone buzzed with a text from Sophia. "Diana and James just arrived. Show them what they lost." I took a deep breath and walked onto the stage as the moderator introduced me. The lights were bright, but not enough to hide Diana's shocked face. She saw the change in my birthmark, my confidence, and the respect I earned from the medical community. "Ladies and gentlemen," I began, my voice steady, "today I'm presenting a breakthrough in treating vascular birthmarks. But this isn't just about changing appearances. It's about changing lives. It's about showing people that their differences don't define their worth." I started my presentation, and I saw Diana whisper to James. But this time, he wasn't listening. He was watching me, realizing what he had lost by choosing his mother's approval over his wife. This was the start of a new chapter in my life, one that had nothing to do with the Andersons. My research would help countless people, and my own journey of healing was just beginning. The response to my presentation was overwhelming. As I concluded, the auditorium erupted in applause. Doctors, researchers, and medical journalists swarmed the stage, eager to learn more about my treatment protocol. Through the crowd, I caught glimpses of the Anderson family's reactions. George approached first, extending his hand professionally. "Remarkable work, Olivia. Truly groundbreaking." The pride in his voice carried a hint of regret. "Too late, like father, like son." Diana remained in her seat, her face a mix of emotions I couldn't quite read. James stood awkwardly at the edge of the crowd, looking lost. But it was Amy who surprised me most, pushing through the throng of people with tears in her eyes. "Can you help me?" she asked quietly, touching her neck where her hemangioma lay hidden beneath a high collar. "Can your treatment work for me too?" Before I could answer, Diana appeared behind her, grabbing her arm. "Amy, don't be ridiculous. We'll find you a proper doctor, not someone woe." "A proper doctor," I interrupted, keeping my voice level. "Like the 3 specialists you've already seen, Diana? The ones who couldn't help." Amy's shocked expression confirmed my guess. My treatment protocol has shown remarkable results with hemangiomas. But of course, the choice is Amy's. 2 months later, Amy became one of my patients. During her treatments, she shared how my departure had sparked changes in the family. James had finally moved out of his parents' influence, starting therapy to address his codependency. George had taken a step back from his practice, realizing how his passive behavior had enabled Diana's toxicity. Diana, however, remained Diana. She tried to discredit my research, spreading rumors in their social circle about experimental treatments and dangerous procedures. But medical results speak louder than malicious gossip. 1 year after that fateful dinner where Diana had called me ugly, I stood at a podium again, this time accepting a prestigious medical innovation award. My treatment protocol had been approved for widespread use, and clinics around the world were adopting it. As I gave my acceptance speech, I spotted a familiar face in the audience. Diana had come, uninvited and unexpected. But this time she wasn't sneering. She sat quietly, watching as I received a standing ovation from the medical community she'd once claimed I was embarrassing. "Dr. Bennett," a reporter caught me after the ceremony, "your treatment is being called revolutionary. What inspired you to develop it?" I thought about Diana's cruel words, about James's silence, about all the years of stares and whispers. "Sometimes," I replied, "the very thing people use to tear you down becomes the foundation for lifting others up." Later that evening, Diana approached me at the reception. She aged somehow, the weight of her bitterness showing in new lines around her mouth. "I suppose," she said stiffly, "I owe you an apology." I looked at her thoughtfully. "No, Diana, you owe yourself one. Your cruelty toward me, toward Amy, came from your own insecurities. I hope you find peace with that someday." As I walked away, I heard her call after me, "You've changed." I turned back one last time. "No, Diana. I was always this strong, this capable, this beautiful. You just couldn't see it through your own prejudice. Goodbye." Today, my clinic specializes in treating patients with various skin conditions. Amy works with me now, her own experience helping her connect with patients in a unique way. Her hemangioma has improved significantly, but more importantly, she's learned to see herself as more than her appearance. James occasionally sends cards, birthday wishes, holiday greetings, always signed with an apology he never managed to say in person. I keep them in a drawer, reminders of how far I've come and what I refused to settle for. As for my birthmark, it's still there, lighter now but visible. I could continue treatments, fade it completely, but I choose not to. It's part of my story, a reminder that our perceived flaws often lead us to our greatest strengths. Diana was right about one thing that night. My birthmark did define me. Not by making me ugly, but by making me resilient, compassionate, and determined enough to change not just my life, but the lives of others. And that's a kind of beauty she'll never understand. "You'll never prove it was me," Lisa smirked, her perfectly manicured nails tapping against her wine glass as I doubled over in pain at our family dinner table. Through my blurred vision, I could see her satisfied expression while chaos erupted around us. My husband James was calling 911, his voice panicked as he described my symptoms. My mother-in-law Margaret hovered nearby, alternating between concerned glances and suspicious looks. My name is Olivia Parker, and at 32, I never expected to be rushed to the emergency room during what should have been a routine Sunday family dinner. The bitter taste in my coffee should have been my first warning. But I dismissed it, not wanting to cause a scene. Lisa, my sister-in-law, had insisted on pouring it herself, claiming it was a new premium blend she'd discovered. "Something's wrong," I gasped, my stomach cramping violently. I think I've been poisoned." Lisa's laugh cut through the room like glass. "Always so dramatic, Olivia. Maybe you're just allergic to something. Or maybe," she paused, her voice dripping with false concern, "you're pregnant?" The paramedics arrived within minutes, their efficient movements a blur as they loaded me onto a stretcher. Through the haze of pain, I heard Lisa's voice again, closer this time, whispering so only I could hear, "Good luck proving anything. No one will believe you anyway. They never have." She was right about one thing. No one had believed me before. For the past 3 years since I'd married James, Lisa had been systematically trying to destroy me. Small things at first, missing items, altered conversations, subtle manipulations that made me look careless or forgetful. But lately, her actions had become bolder, more dangerous. Last month, my brake lines had been mysteriously cut. The mechanic called it tampering, but there was no proof. 3 weeks ago, my allergy medication had been replaced with something else, sending me into a severe reaction. Again, no proof. As the ambulance sped toward the hospital, I fought to stay conscious. The paramedic was asking questions, taking vital signs, but all I could think about was the look on Lisa's face. She finally done it, escalated to something that couldn't be explained away as an accident or coincidence. "Stay with us, Mrs. Parker," the paramedic said, his voice firm but kind. "We're almost there. Can you tell me what you ate or drank before the symptoms started?" "Coffee," I managed to say. "Just coffee." Lisa made it. The emergency room was a flurry of activity. Blood draws, questions, more tests. James arrived shortly after, his face pale with worry. "Olivia, honey, what happened?" "Lisa says you were acting strange all evening before you got sick." Of course she did. Lisa had been laying the groundwork for weeks, making subtle comments about my unstable behavior, planting seeds of doubt in James's mind. She'd always been jealous of our relationship, convinced I'd somehow stolen her brother away from her. "James," I grabbed his hand, my voice weak but urgent. "You have to believe me. Lisa. She did this. She's been trying to hurt me for months." I saw the doubt flicker across his face, the same expression he always wore when I tried to expose his sister's actions. "Liv, you're not thinking clearly. Lisa would never. She's family." Family. The word felt bitter in my mouth. Family didn't try to destroy you. Family didn't poison you during Sunday dinner. The doctor returned with initial blood test results, his expression grave. "Mrs. Parker, we found something concerning in your blood work. Something that suggests this wasn't a simple case of food poisoning." Lisa's confident smirk flashed through my mind again. "You'll never prove it was me." But as the doctor continued speaking, I realized the blood tests had revealed something far more sinister than just poison. Something that would change everything. Lisa had made a crucial mistake, one that would finally expose not just this attempt on my life, but a pattern of behavior that went back much further than anyone realized. The monitor beside my bed beeped steadily as the doctor explained what they'd found. With each word, the pieces started falling into place. Lisa hadn't just tried to poison me. She'd accidentally exposed her own dark secret, one that would turn her entire world upside down. I closed my eyes, remembering the satisfied look on her face as I collapsed at dinner. She thought she finally won, finally found a way to get rid of me for good. But she had no idea what was coming. Sometimes the truth reveals itself in the most unexpected ways, and as I lay there in the hospital bed, I realized this wasn't the end of the story, it was just the beginning. The blood test results changed everything. Dr. Stevens sat at the edge of my hospital bed, his face serious as he explained what they'd found. "Mrs. Parker, your blood shows traces of not just one type of poison, but a complex mixture of toxins. The concerning part is that these particular combinations matched 3 unsolved poisoning cases from the past 5 years, all of them involving young women in their early 30s. My heart raced as I processed this information. 3 other cases, he nodded, glancing at his tablet. All 3 women survived, but they were never able to prove who poisoned them. The cases went cold. The most recent was 8 months ago, just before you married James." Suddenly, memories started flooding back. Lisa's strange comment at my engagement party. "You're lucky number 4, aren't you?" At the time, I thought she was referring to James' past relationships. Now it took on a much darker meaning. The police arrived shortly after, 2 detectives who introduced themselves as Martinez and Cooper. They listened intently as I recounted everything. The coffee, Lisa's behavior, the previous accidents that I'd suspected were her doing. "Mrs. Parker," Detective Martinez said, "we're going to need a detailed statement. These cases, they've been on our radar for years. We just never had enough evidence to connect them." James walked in during my interview, his face pale as he heard the detectives discussing the other cases. "This can't be right," he protested. "Lisa's a pharmaceutical researcher. She would never." "A pharmaceutical researcher?" Detective Cooper's head snapped up. "Where exactly does she work?" "Meridian Labs," James replied. "She's been there for 6 years." The detectives exchanged meaningful looks. "Meridian Labs had a break-in 5 years ago," Martinez explained. "Several experimental compounds were stolen. The same compounds we found traces of in the previous victims." I watched as the color drained from James's face. His sister, his brilliant, perfect sister, was suddenly being revealed in a completely different light. There's more, Detective Cooper added. All 3 previous victims had connections to your brother, Mr. Parker. One was his college girlfriend, another was his coworker he briefly dated, and the third was a woman he'd been seeing just before he met Olivia. James sank into the chair beside my bed, his hands trembling. This can't be happening. Lisa, she's always been protective of me. But this? Protective? I laughed bitterly. James, she's been systematically targeting women in your life. I'm just the first one who survived long enough to expose her. The hospital room fell silent as the weight of this revelation settled over us. Lisa hadn't just tried to poison me. She'd been practicing, perfecting her technique on other women who got too close to her brother. Detective Martinez stood up. We have enough to bring her in for questioning. The lab results combined with her access to the stolen compounds gave us probable cause. Wait, I said, remembering something. Check my phone. I started recording our family dinners after the brake line incident, just audio recordings. I thought if something happened. Cooper quickly took my phone, and soon Lisa's whispered threat played clearly through the speaker. Good luck proving anything. No one will believe you anyway. They never have. James buried his face in his hands. Oh God, Olivia. All this time, you were telling the truth, and I didn't believe you. I let her. Mr. Parker, Martinez interrupted gently. We need to move quickly. Your sister's expertise means she'll know how to cover her tracks. Is there anywhere she might go if she suspects we're onto her? Before James could answer, my phone buzzed with a text. It was from Lisa. You should have died at dinner. Now I'll have to try harder. Family dinner's canceled next week. Permanently. The detectives immediately sprang into action, calling for backup and issuing a BOL for Lisa. But as I watched them rush out of the room, I couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't over. Lisa had spent years perfecting her methods, carefully selecting her victims. She wouldn't give up easily. James gripped my hand tightly, his voice breaking. I'm so sorry, Olivia. I should have protected you. I squeezed his hand back, knowing we'd need each other for what was coming. Because somewhere out there, Lisa was planning her next move. And this time, she had nothing left to lose. The heart monitor beeped steadily as night fell over the hospital. Each sound a reminder that I was still alive, still here to expose the truth. But somewhere in the darkness, a woman who'd gotten away with attempted murder 3 times before was plotting her revenge. And I had a feeling the next family dinner would be one none of us would ever forget. In the days that followed, the police were everywhere, uncovering shocking truths. Lisa was missing, but her secrets were coming to light. Detective Martinez visited me at the hospital with a thick file. We found her journal, he said. Hidden in her desk at Meridian Labs. She wrote down everything. Every poisoning, every attempt. She was obsessed with protecting your husband, and it started years ago. I was leaving the hospital that afternoon, but nothing felt safe anymore. Every shadow seemed dangerous, and every stranger felt like they could be Lisa, ready to finish what she started. Then the phone rang. You ruined everything, Lisa's cold voice said. But I can fix it. One last family dinner, Olivia. Just you and me. Or I start sending those experimental compounds to every member of this family. Let's see how James handles watching everyone he loves suffer. I should have called the police or told James. But I knew Lisa wasn't bluffing. She had already shown how far she'd go. Where? I asked. Our childhood home. Tonight at 8. Come alone, or I start mailing packages. I left a note for James before he came home from work. I'm sorry. I have to end this. I knew he'd be mad, and the police would say I was being reckless. But it needed to end. The old Parker family house was dark and empty. It was abandoned after Lisa's parents died. She insisted on keeping it that way, saying it was for sentimental reasons. Now I wondered what other secrets it held. Lisa was waiting in the kitchen, a familiar coffee cup on the counter. One last drink together, she said with a smile. Fitting, isn't it? Why? I asked, pressing the record button on my phone. Why hurt all those people? Why me? He was mine first, she snapped. My brother, my family. Then others took him away. But you were the worst. You made him love you, made him choose you. He's not yours to keep, Lisa. Drink the coffee, she demanded, pushing the cup forward. Quick and painless. Better than you deserve. I reached for the cup, trying to stall for time. Just then, a floorboard creaked behind her. Lisa turned around as James stepped out of the shadows. I knew you'd come here, he said, his voice heavy with pain, to the place where it all started. Lisa's face twisted with anger. You weren't supposed to be here. This was supposed to be just us. It's over, Lisa, Detective Martinez said, stepping in with his gun drawn. We heard everything. But Lisa wasn't giving up. With a scream, she lunged at me, a syringe suddenly in her hand. Before anyone could react, a gunshot echoed through the house. Lisa fell, the syringe rolling away. Detective Martinez had shot her in the shoulder, stopping but not killing her. As they took her away in handcuffs, Lisa's calm mask finally broke. I did it for you, she screamed at James. Everything was for you. No, James said quietly. Everything was for yourself. After that, things were quieter than I expected. Lisa admitted to trying to hurt multiple people. Her journal, the recording, and the stolen chemicals found in her home were enough proof. She would spend years in prison, getting the help she needed. 6 months later, James and I were in our new home, far away from the painful memories. The last victim before you, James said softly. She survived but left town right after. I always wondered why. Now I know. I held his hand. We can't change the past, but we can choose how to move forward. He smiled and pulled me close. No more family dinners for a while. I laughed. Actually, I was thinking we could start our own tradition. New memories, just us. The doorbell rang. It was Detective Martinez and his wife, bringing takeout, new friends, new beginnings. The coffee pot sat untouched in the kitchen. Some traditions, we decided, were better left behind. As soon as Patricia placed the teacup in front of me, I knew something was wrong. My mother-in-law gave me a sly smile, watching closely as I lifted the cup to my lips. The tea tastes strange, she asked, pretending to be concerned. I took another sip, meeting her gaze. No, it's perfect. My name is Olivia. I'm 32, and for the past 5 years, Patricia has been trying to push me out of her son's life. But this time, she had gone too far. 2 weeks ago, I saw her in my garden taking care of some unfamiliar plants. Patricia had always criticized my lack of gardening skills, so seeing her there was odd. Then she suddenly insisted on weekly family dinners, something she used to avoid. I just want us to be closer, she had said, forcing a smile. I might have believed her, if I hadn't caught her researching poisonous plants late one night. She thought no one was awake, but I saw words like untraceable and symptoms on her laptop before she quickly shut it. That's when I contacted my friend Emma, a toxicologist. I told her my suspicions, and she helped me prepare. Now, sitting at Patricia's table, I watched her closely. My husband, Mark, was working late. How convenient. You know, Patricia, I said casually, putting down my cup, you've taken a sudden interest in herbs. She stiffened slightly. Oh, I just like trying new things. How are you feeling? You look a bit pale. I'm fine, I said, checking my phone. But I'm curious about that new plant you're growing, the one with purple flowers. Her expression flickered. I don't know what you mean. No? I scrolled through my phone. Strange, because I have photos of you planting it. It's called a conatum, or wolfsbane. Highly toxic. Patricia's face turned pale. I don't. You know, I continued, it's hard to detect in poisonings unless someone is looking for it. She shot up from her chair. You're talking nonsense. Oh, I'm feeling perfectly fine, I said, because I've been taking an antidote for a week now. My friend Emma helped me prepare it. Her hands trembled. You're lying. I pulled out a small recorder. I also recorded our conversation, and I have video of you planting and preparing the wolfsbane, plus screenshots of your search history. You went through my computer, she gasped. No need. You should really use incognito mode when looking up murder methods. I stood up. I've already sent the evidence to my lawyer. If anything happens to me, the police will get it. Patricia sank into her chair, her plan falling apart. You don't understand, she whispered. Mark deserves better. Someone from a good family, someone Someone you can control? I cut in. That's what this is about, isn't it? Just then, the front door opened. Mom? Olivia? Sorry I'm late. Mark called out. Patricia's eyes filled with panic. I leaned in. You have a choice. You can tell Mark everything, or I will. As Mark walked in, I smiled. You're home early. Your mother and I were just talking about her new gardening hobby. Mark stood in the doorway, looking at us with confusion. The room was heavy with tension, and Patricia's hands trembled as she gripped the table. "What's going on?" he asked, his eyes shifting to his mother. "Mom, are you okay?" Before Patricia could speak, I held up my phone, showing him photos of her garden. "Your mom has been growing some interesting plants. Do you want to explain what you plan to do with the wolfsbane, Patricia?" Mark frowned. "Wolfsbane? That's poisonous, isn't it?" Patricia suddenly burst into tears, but this time they weren't her usual fake sobs. She looked truly terrified. "It's not what you think," she said, turning to Mark. I was trying to protect you." "Protect me?" Mark's eyes landed on the teacup in front of me. His face darkened. "Mom, what did you do?" I took out a small recorder and pressed play. Patricia's earlier words filled the room, her fake concern, my calm responses, and then her panic when I revealed that I knew about the poison. Mark slowly sank into a chair, his face pale. "You tried to poison Olivia, my wife? She's not good enough for you." Patricia suddenly screamed. "She's turned you against me. Everything was perfect before she came along." "Perfect?" Mark's voice was sharp. "You mean when you controlled everything, when you scared away every woman I dated?" I placed my hand on his arm. "There's more." I showed him the screenshots of her research, poisonous plants, their effects, how to make them untraceable. "She's been planning this for weeks." Patricia slumped in her chair, defeated. "I just wanted what was best for you," she whispered. Mark stood, fists clenched. "No, Mom, you wanted what was best for you. You tried to murder my wife." "But I didn't," Patricia protested. "She didn't drink enough." "Because I knew what you were planning, I cut in. I've been taking an antidote for a week, but you still poisoned me. That was your choice." Mark pulled out his phone. His hands shook. "I'm calling the police." "Wait," I said, covering his hand. "Let's give her a chance to be honest, maybe for the first time in her life." Patricia looked at us, her mask completely gone. The powerful, controlling woman was no more, just a desperate, lonely person afraid of losing her son. "When you married her, everything changed," she whispered to Mark. "You stopped coming by as much. You made decisions without asking me. She made you strong, and I hated her for it." "So you tried to kill her?" Mark's voice cracked. "I convinced myself it was for the best." Patricia admitted, tears falling. "I told myself you'd be happier without her. That one day you'd thank me." She shook her head. "I was wrong. I see that now." I watched her closely. For the first time, I saw her truth, not the perfect woman she pretended to be, but someone who had built her life around controlling Mark. "The police need to know," I said firmly. "You tried to kill me, Patricia, but what happens next is up to you. Will you take responsibility or will you keep lying?" Patricia hesitated, then reached into her purse and pulled out a small notebook. "This is everything," she said softly. "My research, my plans, when I planted the wolfsbane. I'll tell the police everything." Mark called the authorities. Patricia slumped deeper into her chair, the weight of her actions finally sinking in. As sirens echoed in the distance, I knew nothing would ever be the same. But when I looked at Mark, I saw his pain, but also his strength. We would get through this. Sometimes the truth, no matter how painful, was the only way forward. The next few months passed quickly, filled with police interviews, court hearings, and family therapy. Patricia pleaded guilty to attempted murder, which surprised everyone except me. Maybe she finally realized that controlling everything wasn't worth losing her son completely. On the day of her sentencing, I sat beside Mark in the courtroom, holding his hand. Patricia looked smaller in her plain navy suit, her usual confidence gone. When given a chance to speak, she turned to us. "I spent my life trying to control everything," she said, her voice steady despite her tears. "I thought I knew what was best for my son. But that wasn't love. It was control, and it nearly made me do something unforgivable." The judge sentenced her to 5 years with required psychiatric treatment. As she was led away, she looked back at us one last time. This time, there was no manipulation in her eyes, just regret. Afterward, Mark and I walked through the courthouse gardens. "I keep thinking about all the signs I miss," he said. "The way she'd insulted you, the fake concern. I should have realized sooner." I squeezed his hand. "She was your mother. You wanted to believe the best about her. How can you be so forgiving?" he asked. She tried to kill you, Olivia. I thought for a moment, because I won't let her actions poison our lives. She's facing the consequences, and that's enough for me. 2 weeks later, I received a letter from Patricia's psychiatrist. With her permission, he shared that she had a severe personality disorder, which made her obsess over control. She was finally getting help. Mark and I decided to sell the house near Patricia's and move somewhere new, where we could start fresh. While packing, I found the recorder with all the evidence from that night. Should we keep it? Mark asked. I shook my head and deleted the recording. We don't need it anymore. Holding onto it won't help anyone heal. We bought a small house with a garden, and I started growing herbs again, the safe kind. Sometimes, while tending my plants, I think about Patricia's wolfsbane. How something beautiful can turn deadly, just like her love for her son. Mark visits Patricia in prison once a month. I don't go with him, but I send letters sometimes. Not because I fully forgive her, but because I believe people can change. Her replies are different now, honest, without manipulation. She's finally becoming the mother I needed, Mark told me after one visit. It's just sad that it took something this extreme. Last week, I received a package from Patricia. Inside was a diary she'd kept since her arrest, filled with reflections on her mistakes. On the first page, she had written, "I spent my life trying to control others, only to realize the one who needed help was me. I'm sorry it took nearly destroying my family to see that." As I closed the diary, I felt a sense of peace. The woman who had tried to poison me was gone. In her place was someone finally facing her demons. It wasn't a fairy tale ending, but it was real. It was hope. Mark and I are expecting our first child now. Some people ask if we worry about Patricia's release, about her being a grandmother. But we've learned that real strength isn't about control. It's about boundaries, honesty, and allowing change. The tea set from that night still sits in our cabinet. Not as a reminder of betrayal, but of my own strength. And every now and then, I make myself a cup of tea and smile, knowing that the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's moving forward, healing, and living well.